I would like to show you how I used guided inquiry design in order to design a lesson plan for LIS professionals on how to teach with technology, while thinking in terms of integrating multimodal literacies into my lesson plan. This was my way. You could evaluate, analyze, and compare to the ways you would have done it. I used Adobe Spark Video to make this video. You can also use it to create simple web pages or posters for your classroom. I like having a central document or something that guides my lesson planning. It helps so that I do not become too overwhelmed by the task. You can use any lesson planning template, but I prefer using Logo, which you might be familiar with. As you can see, I do not only use various resources, analog and digital, in the classroom, but I also draw on these resources when designing the lesson plan. Does this look familiar? The lesson planning template first focuses my attention on the curriculum of the course, really getting me to think critically about what I want to do, to whom I am teaching it, where I am teaching it, and what I want my learners to do. As you can see, I am using the template printout to actually do my thinking on, so to speak. I like writing it down so I could make scribbles and little arrows all over the place, but you can do this using a word processor too. The first place where I moved away from my template briefly was while trying to think about who my learners are. I watched a video on YouTube about library and information studies students, carefully read the curriculum, looked at what had already been covered before my contact session, asked the course coordinator to provide me with information using email, then looked at the curricula of other institutions. So I bounced around a bit, then safely returned to my lesson plan template. It was when I started thinking about resources and materials I could use that I really found the framework of GID very useful. You can of course use the framework at other parts of your lesson planning too. I found that it is actually like a cycle, and it does not necessarily have to be followed in a linear fashion. During my lesson plan, I moved from open to evaluate repeatedly, sometimes jumping back to gather or even explore. In numerous points, the framework helped me to identify where I should be creating my own resources or draw on others. Lesson planning is a messy, dynamic process. Embrace it. Sometimes I used a physical notebook to help me think. Other times I searched for things on my iPad, articles on my desktop, sometimes everything at the same time. I set important reminders of things that will be crucial in my class using Evernote, sometimes even doing some of my thinking on it. I searched for important resources using my Google Drive, then exported the resources to Evernote so I don't lose it again. By the time I got to planning the introduction, middle, and conclusion of my lesson plan, things were really going smoothly. I used the starter, work time, and reflection notions of GID to structure my class. I'm very glad I did that because I spent so much time on thinking about the introduction and middle part of my class that I completely forgot about the conclusion. It was hard work, but I'm sure it will end up being a wonderful